Dr. Irfan, there are people out there with questions. There are people out there who want to know the answers to their own health and well-being and how it is they can improve their lives and their lifestyles by basically taking that knowledge, that is divine knowledge, that comes from the Riser Abu Sadiq, that you have spoken to him about, that you have learned from him, and perhaps you can give insight into how everyone can improve their lifestyles.
Yes. I would love to do that, and I think it's really important to be in tune with your body, but also to see yourself holistically, to see yourself as first and foremost a spiritual being having a human experience. And in order to do that, in order to develop spiritually, you need to have a healthy body, a healthy avatar, a temple where that spirit can flourish, and that is your body. And of course the body is connected to the spirit by the mind. The mind is that aspect of ourselves where we have these thoughts and emotions that come into play, and they can either distract us or we can take control of them and program the mind, like we said, to take us to the desired destination. So if you are considering yourself as an airplane pilot, the body is the plane, the navigational equipment on it is the mind, and the soul is the pilot. And if you want to get to your destination, then those coordinates have to be put in regularly. And it always takes, and a pilot will always tell you this, that if they weren't constantly adjusting the steering of the plane, the plane would end up in a completely different location. It doesn't go in a straight line. It requires these constant adjustments. And this is very much, of course, the spiritual life. And it is that way with your health. If there is some part of the plane that is leaking or broken, it needs to be repaired, it needs to be fixed. And the best way to prevent your body from breaking down, the avatar from developing problems, is to practice preventative medicine. And the first principle of medicine that they teach you is do no harm. In other words, avoid health degrading habits and empower health promoting habits. So if you are somebody who is a smoker, for example, you can eat as many antioxidants until they come out of your ears. It's not really going to benefit you until you let go of the smoking.
Yeah, and there are all these narrations that you just reminded me of that I always found fascinating, where the imams from them is peace would say your body has a right over you.
Yes.
So as you said, if you're smoking and you're thinking that you're just kind of helping yourself in another way, like antioxidants might help avoid the damage of the smoking, it wouldn't work because your body has a right over you that you wouldn't put harmful substances into it in the first place.
Right, exactly. And likewise, you know, if you are somebody who is meditating or walking or enjoys yoga, but then you're having 6 donuts every night, it's not going to benefit you. A couple of custard creams with a cup of tea is fine.
A couple?
A couple. Every now and then. But you must be... health lies in the middle path, in moderation. And we are human beings, and we're not supposed to go through lives that are full of pain and suffering. In that sense, there's enough of that going on. You just have to find that middle path. So number one is to stop all negative health habits that injure and damage your body. If you're smoking, stop smoking. If you're drinking a certain level of alcohol that is damaging to health, and we have the figures in now, it only takes more than 2 or 3 glasses of wine a day to really cause damage to the body. We used to think before that men, on account of their larger body mass index and larger size in general, could tolerate the same amount of greater levels of alcohol in their body and not get damaged. And now the results are telling us a completely different story, that they've said that men and women should be limiting themselves to 7 units or 14 units maximum per week of alcohol. And you can look up what that means, because it depends on the alcoholic beverage you have. Alcohol is a big, big problem in the West and in this country, in the UK that we live in. And this is something that people need to look at. So once you've taken these bad health habits out of the way, then you look to detoxify yourself. And this is where, from many years, we've accumulated through the ingestion of certain food products, these carcinogens, these damaging elements that are found in nature. For example, these lead, heavy metals that come from seafood, different types of toxins that we take in from eating ultra-processed foods, and so on and so forth. And the key is then to then focus on detoxifying the body. And we talked about the role of activated charcoal, of chlorella, of shilajit as very good tools in this area.
And there are actually questions about that coming up in the comment section. I thought we could maybe put them on the screen.
Let's launch into it.
Let's see what people are asking Dr. Irfan today.
Yes, so this is from Ahmed 313, very good name. Therefore, a good question must ensue. It says, can children take chlorella and shilajit? That's a good question. Chlorella, yes, absolutely they can. In fact, if the chlorella in its form, it has two forms that you can usually buy it in. It's either capsule or tablet form rather, or powder. Now, children who can take the tablet forms, great, give it to them. If they're able to swallow the tablet and drink it down like you would with any other sort of tablet. And to do this, the child usually is a 7, 8 or above, and some children don't actually learn to swallow tablets till much later. So completely safe, it's a natural product. Why would it cause any harm or difficulty in that sense? Shilajit I'll come to in a minute. The best way to give your children, I think, chlorella is to get it in powder form and mix it in with a green smoothie. Okay, so put your kiwis, guavas, pineapples, a little bit of orange juice or apple juice, you know, and sweeten it with some honey if you wish, give it a blend and pour it out and let them drink it. They won't even taste it and they'll benefit from this immensely powerful antioxidant, high protein, detoxifying agent called chlorella. And so, yeah, the first one is easy. Now, shilajit is something different. By the way, just coming back to the chlorella, in terms of quantity, how much should you be taking? This is, again, at the discretion of the parents, but if you're giving them in smoothie form, then a couple of glasses of smoothie where you put in a good, let's say, half an ounce of chlorella powder into it, it's completely fine. Sometimes in the initial stages, if you're introducing chlorella in, it can cause loose motions, so expect them to be using the bathroom a little bit more, but that's just that kind of cleansing process happening in the body, and it happens in a child. It may happen a little bit more exaggeratedly in a child than an adult, but this is basically all you have to think about when it comes to chlorella. Now, shilajit is something different. Shilajit should be, I would say, avoid that in children because it is a hormonal booster.
Wow.
It is very bitter. It tastes, I've had many descriptions of its taste. Some of the descriptions I cannot say, but let's think of it in a way that is extremely bitter earwax, right? That's one of the descriptions that I can share with you. And I think children would be really struggling to take that down.
And do they even need it? Would a child need shilajit?
I don't think they would. Now, this is definitely an adult area, and a lot of people have said, do women need shilajit? And I think that women certainly can take shilajit, and particularly if they are experiencing low energy, loss of libido. These things can happen in men and women, and they do. It boosts your, it gets your testosterone, estrogen balance. We produce both hormones, men and women, and it just takes you more to the side of the of testosterone, and it also inhibits certain hormones in the body that prevent that testosterone from going up. So it works in many different ways. It also detoxifies. It actually binds. It's a binding agent for many toxins, and it removes it out of your body. But it's a difficult one to take in terms of its flavor. So I would avoid it in children. Shilajit to be avoided. Stick to adults 18 and over. For chlorella, no problem.
Can I ask as a mother, so in terms of chlorella, can you overdo it with children?
Yes, you can overdo it with chlorella. You can overdo it in adults. I myself experimented with it, and I found out that if I took anything more than, I used to take it in tablet form, because the powder, I found it difficult, just much easier for me to take it in tablets. And what I would do is I would get 4 to 6 tablets in the morning, and I would just drink them all down with a full glass of water, because you need to have plenty of water in order to break it down. I used to do it on an empty stomach, and I found it to be very useful. It does, again, let's keep it tasteful here, but it does alter the bowel habit a bit initially. However, if you persevere with it for a week, you do begin to notice its health benefits in the form of this strange kind of energy that you have. You don't experience that afternoon crash that you normally used to. And it also has a strange effect on me, it did anyway, where my appetite was, I wasn't craving snacks as much in between, and I needed less caffeine. And this is when I was taking it regularly. I found that if I took more than 6 tablets, and I don't know how many milligrams one tablet equates to, it depends on the brand, but in the one I was taking it was 200 to 400 milligrams per tablet. When I took more than 6, it caused issues. Okay, so I guess it depends on the size of the individual, but this is where a little bit of trial and error should be used, and it's okay to trial and error in this case. This is not like some kind of anti-cancer or some kind of immune suppressant medication. This is a natural thing. This is basically coming from seaweed. This is where it comes from. Chlorella comes from chlorophyll, which is that green thing that absorbs sunlight and gives energy, right? And it's high in protein. It's one of the highest content protein foods that you can get your hands on. So if you're vegetarian, vegan especially, then chlorella is really a go-to food. It doesn't cause any serious side effects, but a little bit of trial and error in the beginning is a good idea.
Okay, amazing. I think there are more questions in the line. Let's make sure we get through them today. Don't want to miss any out.
Yes, please.
Next one. Okay.
It says here at Muhajir al-Mahdi, my brother and doctor, what does Abu Sadiq say is best for focus? Interesting. Right, best for focus. Now, focus has many aspects to it. Sorry, I didn't hear that.
I think it's...
Okay, so yes, Abu Sadiq gave us a couple of different things. He spoke about there's one aspect of focus is to have a good memory, because memory and focus are actually very closely related. And he said that to have frankincense and to chew upon frankincense improves attention and memory. And if you are somebody who struggles with attention and memory, then to have these, you can get it in this resinous kind of chewy form. It's like chewing gum that doesn't actually go away, like very similar.
I have to say that I can testify to that, and it really does work.
Yeah.
It really does.
It helps with focus as well, right? And attention, absolutely
it really
does.
Having it at work is really good. Just having a little bit at your desk while you're at work, it really helps you. Yes,
it absolutely does. And by the way, caffeine is a really, really good, proven, tried and tested over and over. And caffeine is also coming from its natural forms. If you can get it in the bean form, it's something that exists naturally, and you can find it in nature. If you can get it from bean to cup method, it's an extremely proven, effective way to increase focus. And of course, caffeine must be taken in moderation, but it's completely safe. You can drink it about 4 to 6 cups a day if you need to as an adult without having any issues. If you are caffeine sensitive, then 2 cups a day have been proven to increase your performance in cognitive task, attention and memory. Other than that, Abu Sadiq has specifically mentioned the consumption of black lime or Numi Basra. We talked about this on the show. I wrote about it in the Divine Just State magazine, where I actually give a recipe and a full little talk about it in terms of its scientific benefits and so on and so forth. So I wish we could get a little kitchen going on the side here, and we could maybe do the preparation.
Maybe we should.
I used to do it in Germany, by the way. I did that in Germany for a couple of things.
On the show?
Yeah, where I was making stuff and it was on the...
Yes!
Yeah.
It is beneficial to watch it happening in action, but yeah, the article is good, and that should help a lot of people.
We could call it like Doctor's Kitchen, unless somebody's trademarked that name, I don't know.
We'll have to check.
I'm sure it has been. I probably picked that up. But we need to, I think Numi Basra is very simple. It's basically dried, desiccated lime. It turns black in color. And the idea is that you get a fork and you make holes inside of it. You get 4 or 5 of these things, these black limes, or black lemon for that matter. It doesn't really matter. They both have the same kind of nutritional profile. You put it inside a large container or a boiling saucepan. You add water into it to taste, and you let it boil away. And then you leave it to stand, you let it cool off a little bit, so it's like not boiling hot, but just warm, and then you pour it out and you drink. You can even put it in a fridge, it's good. You can add honey if you would like to sweeten it. It tastes amazing, and it hydrates you, and it just gives you this this complex combination of antioxidants that really do help you to focus. And one of the biggest causes of lack of focus, by the way, is dehydration. People are dehydrated and they don't know it. And many people, if they actually look and examine their day and see how much water they're consuming, it'll be very much less than what they think they drink.
Right.
And then they wonder why they are losing attention, concentration, or becoming unwell.
Interesting. Okay, quite a few little things that you can do to increase focus, improve focus. I think we have one more question that was sent in for Dr. Irfan. Let's check it out. This is from dear Patty. And she says, I would really be interested in seeing a meal plan that you come up with, Dr. Irfan. So many things I eat thinking it's good for my diabetes and then see that it's got MSGs in it that hurt me. Labels are awful. They should be front and center on the packaging.
Yes.
Thank you. Very true.
Yes.
Thank you so much for that question, Patty.
Yeah, very good question, Patty, and we appreciate that. You know, there have been calls, and I wrote about this. Actually, I've been discussing this with our kitchen team here on the ground, that ultra-processed foods have been classified as a type 1 carcinogen. What is type 1 carcinogen? Type 1 carcinogens are these processed meats, right? So meats that have been treated so that they can be kept, have a longer shelf life, salami, sausages, kind of bacon and these types of foods.
Like processed meats, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So
fake meat, I call it fake meat. I know it's meat, but it feels fake.
Type 1 carcinogen. So ionizing radiation is a type 1 carcinogen.
Wow.
Tobacco smoking is a type 1 carcinogen. And ultra-processed foods, so things that have a very long shelf life and are made full of E numbers and MSG and these different things that you mentioned, this is also falls into that category, but the meats especially. And there have been calls to actually label them like they do with cigarettes and tobacco products, where they put these very scary pictures of people with cancers in their mouth, they've got holes in their throat from the cancer that has been excised and so on and so forth, to try and dissuade people from consuming these very, very toxic chemicals. And likewise, now they're asking, well, if this is also now type 1, we should be doing this for the food as well.
That's how harmful it is.
That is how harmful it is. And I wrote actually a couple of pieces on this, and hopefully it will be implemented soon within our community, because it is convenient, but is it worth it when it represents no nutritional benefit? It's a filler food, and it damages your body like as if you were smoking. We need to get rid of processed meats and ultra-processed foods from our diet. A huge study was published at Imperial College, where they showed that ultra-processed foods have almost a causal link, which is a very, very powerful link with breast cancer and prostate cancer and bowel cancer, colorectal cancer, they call it. So yes, Patty, very much so. I agree with you. They should be labeled. They do represent a very high threat to our health. And for that reason, people should be able to make informed decisions. You know, let's put it out there. In terms of diabetes, diabetes is a huge problem, represents a tremendous burden on the healthcare systems of most countries, whether it's the less or more developed ones. And it's something that is really, I think, the pharmaceutical companies take big advantage of, because they produce a lot of medicines, a lot of different types of insulins and tablets, but none of them cure the person. They just keep the person coming back. The customer keeps returning for a repeat prescription for a condition that usually gets worse over time and comes with a tremendous array of
side effects,
of just complications, head to toe complications. Diabetes is a very serious problem. The simplest way to cure it, type 2 diabetes, which you develop later on in life, which is where your insulin is being produced, but it's just not effective. This makes the vast majority of cases, over 80%, are type 2 diabetes. And it's a very simple equation. You are taking in too many calories in the form of carbohydrates. The body can't cope with carbohydrates. The sugar levels go up in the body. The insulin becomes ineffective. The sugar makes your blood vessels stick together. It causes blindness. It causes strokes. It causes heart disease. It causes you to lose sensation in your feet. It causes you to go blind, have strokes, develop ulcers in your legs, erectile dysfunction. Anywhere that the body has blood vessels, if they close, what's going to happen? They stop working. Good. Right? You don't want sticky blood vessels, do you?
Doesn't sound good.
This is what diabetes is. Diabetes is sticky blood vessels that stick together and prevent organ perfusion, and therefore organ death. We've had people who've lost their kidneys. We've had people who can't see anymore. There's so many issues related to diabetes. So the way to treat diabetes is to take the majority of your calories through proteins and healthy fats. And when you do take the carbohydrates, to take it in complex whole grain form, so that the sugar is released, much more progressively and gradually, rather than a sudden spike, for example, by having a can of Coke. These are things that you have to consider.
So very briefly, if we could perhaps, I don't know how convenient it is to do that, but she asked for a meal plan. So is there like perhaps an idea of what a person could take for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner, something that would help maintain that well-being despite the diabetes?
Well, certainly for Sister Patty, I can make a meal plan for her and send it to her. I've done it before and I'll do it again. And she's a long-time supporter of this call, and she's the mother of a very beloved brother of ours, of course. And for Patty McGowan, I would be more than honored to send her a personalized meal plan, and we can then discuss the specifics of it. And it takes into account the principles that I've outlined of diabetes. And yes, that in conjunction with having an exercise routine and being as close to your ideal body weight as possible. It's not just one thing, it's a combination of things that need to be practiced in order to stop the progression of this ravaging condition that ravages the human body, diabetes mellitus. Well
then, I guess that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you so much to everyone who sent in their questions. We learned a lot from your questions. And thank you, Dr. Irfan.
Thank you very much.
So much. And I guess we will see you guys tomorrow morning for another episode of Rise Up. Please make sure to tune in. Until then, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.